A lot of them have joined in. A lot of my previous batch students have joined in. Many of them are chartered accountants. Few of them are in the few of them already completed 4 5 years. Few of them have just appeared, are going to be clearing recently. So I think great, good to see. A lot of our mentors have also joined in. Bhaskar, I can see he have joined in. Hi Bhaskar, good to see you. Right. Meanwhile, others, those who have joined in, I would request you to please turn on the video so that we can keep the session more interactive. And the session is for you, right? Definitely, we want you to participate in this session more. But without wasting much of our time, I would just wanted to check, is my audio video clear? If it is clear, you can just write clear in a chat box. If my audio video is clear, you can just write clear in a chat box. फटाफट बता दीजिए please. And for the people those who have joined by YouTube live, you can also mention if it is clear. You can just write clear in the chat box. We'll be happy to the session more. But without wasting much. Yes, I think the audio is there on YouTube live as well. I think audio video is clear. Great. Now, without wasting much of our time, right? I'll just also talk about one important thing, which is every chartered accountant have their growth trajectory, right? And typically, I generally think in different mindset, and that is what I say, that always see the person from its future value, not its present value. And I generally, whenever I talk to my students, also I see them as a CFO or partner of top firms, or CFO or CEO of top companies, which is there. And definitely, because you guys are gonna be becoming that. Of course, not today, but after few years down the line. But it's very important to understand this journey. It's very important to understand this pathway, that what is the pathway to reach there? What are the common mistakes which people have did, which you should not do? What is something which you need to do uniquely in a different manner to reach out there, right? And to discuss all this, right, we have one of our mentor, and personally, I really like talking to Ravi sir whenever I feel doubtful about anything out, or wanted to discuss a few ideas, or wanted to brainstorm. So we have Ravi Kumar sir with us, who have worked as a CFO at IBM, right? He has a good amount of experience, or ample amount of experience. Definitely, he is a person whom I also consider and thinks as my mentor out. And very good part is, the best part which I've seen about sir is he is very down to earth, and always reachable to us. That is one. And with this, sir has also recently written a book on how you can become a CFO, or how your journey for CFO can be done easily. So the book name is The CFO Lens. Of course, we'll discuss about it at the end as well. So without wasting much of our time, I would request all of you, those who are connected, to turn on your videos, video on करके सर के लिए जोरदार तालियों से स्वागत करेंगे, right? I'll request all of you to please turn on your videos and unmute yourself and give a round of applause.
Hi.
Great.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon,
start,
sir.
Shivam? You want to say something?
Yeah.
I'll just mute every one of them so that वो noise create नहीं होगा. Yes, sir. You can start the session out. No problem, sir. You can just unmute, sir. Sir, you went on mute. Yeah.
It just automatically goes, by the way. It just appears.
No, I did it. So sorry.
Okay. So, I can see close to 100 people on the call. It's a Sunday afternoon. This is a time to rest and relax, chill, as you guys say. But you've chosen to be here. And let me try and do justice to your time. What I will try and do is that, I will talk a little bit about my journey, and I will share some very specific things that I think you need to do. That will be practical for you, that you can take away and consider whether I should do this or not. And what I think is important for success, right? And it is, whatever I'm telling you is time tested. It's definitely relevant to the current times. I won't talk about my times. But let me just start. So I did my CA in Bombay. I was born and brought up in Bombay. I now live in Bangalore. I've been in the IT industry. And recently I took a break of service. And we'll come to that part a little later. But I had, my career, if you look back, or if I look back, is like, anybody else's career. I started my career in consulting in Bombay, management consulting. I spent 3 years there. And then after that, I came to Bangalore, because at that time in the 90s, this was the IT industry was just becoming big. And so I came and joined a company called Digital Equipment. It does not exist now. It has been taken over by HP. But at its time, it was the second most respected IT company after IBM. Those days, of course, there was no Google and there was no Amazon and, all those kinds of stuff. So IBM, Digital Equipment, and HP were the three big companies. And so I joined Digital. I worked there. And when I started, I was a ledger accountant. I started my career in the accounting division. I was first in charge of expenses, everything from general expenses, travel, payroll, all that kind of stuff. Then I went on to become general ledger accountant. Those days you tended to spend more time in a job. Nowadays you tend to move more quickly. And then I went and spent 2 years in taxation. And so that by that time I had a fair idea of some major functions in finance, like accounting, tax. Those are the major functions. I had hands-on experience there. And later I got an opportunity in IBM to work in business finance. And I worked in IBM for 19 years. I joined as business finance manager, then became financial controller, then became CFO. And I also worked in 4 different countries. For example, I worked in Japan and China. And then I came back and then I became the CFO here of IBM. And some years back, I left the company. Very broadly, that is my journey. And, there are a couple of things that I did that I like to share with people, because I think it is useful. It helped me in my career and it could help you in yours. I'll just come to that in a minute. So I then spent, I spent some years outside India, because in multinational companies, they always want to test you before they give you a job of CFO of India CFO. They don't want you to know only India. They don't want you to handle only India matters. They test you and say, I'll put you in another country. Let me see how this guy performs, right? Or how he or she performs. So you have to go through that test, right? And you have to do well in different environments, different cultures, different languages. So that was a very, very good experience for me. My family came with me. My boys were small. They were in school. And but it was overall a very good experience for the family. Obviously, you'll have some difficulties living in foreign countries and, all that stuff. But, overall, the family gained by my doing that. And when I did all that and they had tested me, they gave me the India CFO job. Till then, they were not considering me for that job. There were other foreigners and, other kind of people. Couple of things that I did, which I look back, helped me in my career, and which is relevant even today, is I always try to understand the context of my job. We all do our jobs. We all learn it, do it very well. Try to excel in it, try to get a perfect rating, 1 rating or 5, whatever is the rating in your company. And but we don't often get into what is the meaning of my job to the rest of the company, right? What does my job mean to others? And what does other people's job mean to me? So let me give you an example. So when I was in accounting, the job of accounting is, apart from closing the books and doing normal accounting and all that, one of the roles is to give data to the business finance team. And they will always come and they'll bug the accounting team for it. Give me this data, give me that data. I have a meeting here, I have a meeting there. Today I have to make this presentation. So I always would never stop at giving them the data. Giving the data was my job. But I also used to tell them, what are you doing with my data? If you are going to do analysis on that, so they don't take my data and go and present it to the CEO or something like that, right? They will do analysis on that. That is the job of business finance. But I will try and understand what analysis they are doing. Because that then gives me more meaning to my job, saying the root of that analysis begins with me. Right? They are able to do the analysis because I'm able to give them the data, and therefore that puts some responsibility also on me. And so sometimes they'll get irritated. They'll say, I don't have time for all that stuff, we get lost kind of stuff. But they have to come back to me 2 days later again. So some days they'll say yes, they'll explain it to me, and I will also want to know what happened in those meetings. Okay, you made this analysis, you told the head of sales this. What did the head of sales say? What decisions did they make? Where did they disagree with you on the data? Because many times we give them the data and sales and marketing and others say, "Aisa bakwas hai data, ye correct nahi hai." These days it doesn't happen that much because the levels of automation. Those days automation was more limited. So I built that understanding of it beyond my work. So let me give you a live example. Let me say somebody is working in a company today which does outsourcing for other companies. Let's say does outsourcing for Google. And you're on either the receivable side or payables or whatever side you are, an FP&A, you're doing that. Ask those people what they do with your data. You don't have to ask them every day. You don't have to sit with them, very often. They won't have the time. But if you are giving them, if you're doing all the reconciliation of receivables, you're doing reconciliation of payables and churning out all the reports, they use your reports. So what are you doing with my report? Just explain to me, help me understand this. Okay, once in a month you ask them. Once in 15 days you ask them, what did you do with my report? Last time I gave you a report, can you spend half an hour with me telling me what are the various ways in which you use my report? Then what happens is, then you're able to give a... So when you give a report, you're not always just sending the report by mail. You're answering their questions first. Now this helps you prepare for answering those questions and also helps you give data that you would not have earlier thought of. If you're just doing your work, you would not have thought of, oh, okay, my data is being used for this purpose. Okay, now there is some other relevant data that I have. Let me give them this data also, right? So it helps you kind of, without being at the next level, it helps you go to the next level. It helps you get the perspective of the next level, right? And throughout my career, I used to do that. When I first joined for some 8-9 months, I was in audit. I always used to try and understand what consulting was doing because that firm had audit and consulting divisions, just like any of the big four have today. And I used to go sit with them, and sometimes I'll tell them, why don't you spare half an hour on a Sunday? I'll come to your house. Tell me, what are you guys doing in consulting? So that you have to keep that level of curiosity on it. It keeps your mind working all the time in learning better and bigger things. Same thing when I joined IBM in business finance, I didn't have any experience, but because I was doing this constantly with the business finance people, always asking them for it, it helped me do that job better. But more than anything else, many times you feel, oh, my job is so boring. So I've already done this for 1 year, 1.5 years. But if you can do something like this, or you can say, for example, you can say that if you're bored of your job, you spend 1.5 years, 2 years. Last time when I was here in this forum, one of the people asked me the question saying, I'm very bored of my job. I've spent 2 years. I don't know what to do. And I said, I'm sure you're having conversations with your boss about change of a role. But till that happens, find other ways of keeping your job interesting. So, for example, if the person who's sitting next to you in your team is going on leave, say for 15 days, I'll do that job also. Because you have anyway done your job so well, you know it in your sleep. But again, you get an opportunity to learn something very different, right? And people are anyway saying, there's nothing like hands-on learning. You can learn by reading internet. You can learn hundreds of thousands of articles. Whatever you want, you can do that. But that hands-on experience, just working 10 days. So for example, organizations have commercial pricing, which means they say what price should it be sold, what profit should it be sold, how much margin they should keep. And that is a finance function, and planning is a finance function. Now, if you're in the commercial pricing side of, let's say, Google's, let's say Amazon's AWS business, right? Find out what are the objectives of the division at that time. It may not be relevant to you. Nobody's going to come and ask you. Nobody's going to, quiz you on that. But saying, I'm doing this job, what is the bigger picture of this job? I'm doing commercial pricing today. Okay, what is the bigger picture? What happens in the market after I give it to somebody, right? How do they go and convert it into a sale? How do they make a sale happen? What are the challenges in that you get from the market relating to discount? Because sometimes you'll agree with the discount, sometimes you'll say no. But how do you say yes or no without knowing what is going on the ground? Can you do that in a sensible way? You'll just do that on a, thuk laga ke kind of stuff, right? I'm sorry, I'm using rude language, but we often tend to do that, all of us, right? So always, and then go ask the planning people, okay, did you meet the budget this time? How much did you fall short of the budget by? Or how much did you exceed the budget by? And the reason for doing that, if you're in let's say, a pricing function, is the next time the sales guy will come to you and for some pricing approval, discount approval, credit approval, something, his behavior will depend on how the performance has been. If the team is doing very well, he will behave in a particular way. If your team is not doing well, he will behave in a different way. So it is important for you to understand that context, that what is going to come in my direction, like weather report, right? What will be the weather? Accordingly, I can wear a blazer, or I can, take a light t-shirt or something like that, right? It is the same thing, right? And again, I'll come to it in context. The context of it a little later is the context of writing my book. But I was asking CFOs, current CFOs, okay, the people of Swiggy, Ola, the current CFOs of those companies, TVS Motors, many companies. Say, what do you look for in people, in your people? Who are the people in your team who you think become successful? Who have you seen become successful? Because many people will start very well. It's like, sports, they're initially first 3 or 4 innings in cricket, they'll do very well. Then after that, they can't keep up the performance and the consistency, right? So what is the common trait of people who do well in their careers? What do you want from them as a CFO of the company? And I was not asking them about their direct reports, what does the CFO want from the controller? What does he want from young people? And you'll be surprised that the first reply I got was curiosity to learn. Because they told me something very simple, which is that, if they have to teach them accounting skills, I can teach them. If I have to teach them planning skills, I can teach them. Right? But I cannot teach curiosity. And if you're not curious, you're not going to go very far. Clearly, they're looking for that attribute in people. Trying to understand different things, not necessarily related to you. They say, oh, this is not my space. And part of the reason for that is because, there was a time when we all had our jobs, and it is still true to some extent, but there is a different expectation today. We have to do our job, and, but they expect you to do things beyond your job. That is what, if everybody see today, in my generation, there were some people who are hardworking, some people who are ambitious, others who are not so ambitious. Your generation is very different. Every one of you is ambitious. Why are you here on a Sunday afternoon at 2:30 listening to me? Because you have a certain ambition, right? All of you are hardworking. Why are you spending time doing, this is office work, career, right? So everybody is like that. But so you don't have an advantage saying, oh, I am ambitious, so I will succeed more. No, everybody is like that. So what really will make you succeed? So curiosity is one factor. Understanding your role beyond your role is another one. The third one is time management. We all have long days, forever you're working. And you have to manage your time. You have to manage your time efficiently. And your boss is not going to do it for you. Let me tell you that much. Some of you may have just started working 6 months, 1 year. If you think my boss is going to help me manage time, I'm working till 11. Boss को जाके complain करो, he'll change it to working to 9. नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो भी 11 बजे तक काम कर रहा है. And your boss also doesn't know. He is also going to his boss or her boss, saying, how do I manage my time? The CEO's time is like that. So time management is very important. What is good time management? You have to determine for yourself. How do you prioritize the important things to do? One thing I never told myself in my career was anything that was important, that I thought was important, I never will tell myself that, "Arey, mere paas time nahi hai iske liye." Because we will all get dragged in different directions. I've also been at your level. I've all been the level above you, 1 level above you, 2 levels above you, whatever, right? And many times I used to think, yaar, mere level mein sab nahi hoga, only the CFO can do all that. When I got to the CFO job, I was thinking, at my level, it is impossible. Maybe when you're young, you can do it. Because at my level, if you don't do something, it becomes more visible, right? So I used to never tell myself, if there was something important that I thought was important, I would always find time for it. I will go half an hour early to the office. I will not switch on my laptop. And I will do that work which I think is important. Or if I need to have a meeting with Shivam, who's in another department, and that meeting is not happening, I will focus on making that meeting happen for that work to be done. Because anytime you go to Shivam, you say, yaar, main abhi busy hu, ye meeting hai, wo meeting hai, ye con call hai, wo report bhenna, ye report bhenna. Acha, bol Shivam, are you free this Friday for 30 minutes? He said, okay, no, you come next Friday. This Friday, I'm not free. Okay, very good. Next Friday. But next Friday, he will give you that 30 minutes time. And send him a meeting invite. It's very powerful. Because then he can tell somebody, no, I have another meeting. No, I can't talk to you. I have to talk to Asta or Monica or whatever, right? Time management. What is time management? I cannot tell you beyond a point. You have to worry about time management. You have to worry about your stress. And, this is another advice that I'd like to give you is, world has become a place full of opportunities, and there is stress. Stress of work, stress of success, stress of relationships, right? In my time, so much opportunity was not there, right? But so much stress was also not there. So reducing stress is your job. Nobody's going to do it for you. And this is what I tell, my children and my nephew and nieces and, all those people, my friends' children, saying most of the problems in life are about the mind. You're disappointed with something, you're unhappy with something, think it is not happening in time, or you think you're overjoyed with something. It's all about emotions, right? Everything, your frustrations, you're being treated unfairly. It's all in the mind. I'm not saying you're not being treated unfairly, but how much it bothers you is in your mind. I may treat, let us say, Paras and Mandla in the same unfair manner, but Mandla may think, okay, theek hai, chalo karte hain, let me manage, but the other person may get very bothered by it. So how much do you let it bother you will determine your success, right? There is a saying by one of the great management gurus called not Peter, I forgot his name. He said that, listen to this carefully. He said, the problem is never the problem. It is the reaction to the problem that is always the problem. Right? So when the problem comes, it is Jadeja's reaction that made him score the 10 runs and 2 balls. Some other person would not have been able to do it. Situation was the same, bowler was the same. Outcome would have been champions or not champions. But it is his reaction to the situation that made him a champion. Today is spoken about from 80-year-old people to 80-year-old people. Everybody talks about Jadeja. Same thing happens in a smaller way in your life, my life, right? So watch for in your life, watch your mind for the way it reacts to situations and manage it. I keep saying 80% of the problems are in the mind, but 80% of your fitness goes to the body. You go to the gym, you go marathon, you go that, you go this, and it is good. Physical fitness leads to mental fitness. But how about spending more conscious time managing your mind? It does not require time. It requires consciously managing. It doesn't require 2 more hours in the day. In that 2 balls, Jadeja had to manage his mind, saying, I am going to remain positive. I'm not going to let this shake me. Because in the first 4 balls, nothing, they could not score any runs. He could have said, ye over to gaya, pehle 4 ball mein kuch nahi hua. I'm sure all of you follow cricket, at least, to some extent. But, it is the reaction to those two, which is also companies. Same is true of companies. Market situation is something. There are 2 competitors, and one competitor reacts X, one competitor reacts Y, and Y wins. It is the reaction that matters. Situation is the same. So, so Shivani is clarifying, last ball, 4 winning runs. So, spend time managing your mind. Not time, be conscious of it. Right? What is happening? Changing the mind is much more difficult than changing the body. You can work for 3 years, 4 years and build a 6-pack. You cannot reach that 6-pack state of mind in 3 years. But the returns are much, much bigger than having a 6-pack. The returns are 10 times more. The effort is a lot more, but the ROI is better. You're all finance people, chartered accountants. You understand ROI. So do that. Okay. And the other thing that I think you need to do is always worry about impact of your work. We all put in effort, right? But what happens to that work? In now French Open tennis is going on. You take the example of a tennis player. You can hit the ball very hard, which means he's making a lot of effort. But if he hits it into the net, then there is no impact. If he doesn't hit the ball that hard, but still manages to hit it over the net, then the effort is less, but the impact is more. That is what I mean by effort versus impact. So when you prioritize your work at office, saying which work will be more meaning for the company, That is which work will have a greater impact on my team, my peers, my boss, my bada boss, whoever, right? Which will help, get them to their current objective. It need not be annual objective. It could be tomorrow's objective, right? So be focused when you prioritize your work and when you plan your work and when you plan your time and when you do that you understand, is my work creating impact or no? So let us say I'm a CFO, I change a policy and I announce everything. Abhi policy badal gaya hai, things are going to improve from tomorrow. I've given more delegation to sales people. Now it is going to become easy. Yeah, that is an effort. But what is the impact of that? Is it really happening on the ground? Is the person who is on the ground for whom I had intended that change really seeing it? Right? If they are not seeing it, then what is the use of a policy change? What is the use of that effort? I can put a tick, go tell the CEO, boss, I made a major policy change. Don't worry, things will be better in this area. But CEO will clap. That day, he or she will clap for you. Beta, bahut acha kiya. But 1 month later, 1 year later, she will see if that thing worked or didn't work. She'll ask the people. Right? So what is the impact of your work? That is important. So these are a few tips I have for you. Shivam, any comments?
No, sir. I think you highlighted all the things in a very good manner. Sir, I have one great question for you. And since in your entire journey, you have seen multiple things around and you have seen a lot of ups and downs, right, which is there. One thing I again want you to highlight and just talk for our students out or the qualified CAs, those who are here, in terms of what are the common mistakes which you have done in your life which they should not do. That is point number one. And so second thing I want you to highlight about what was the thought process behind writing your book, The CFO Lenses, which you have written for all the finance folks. So I just want you to highlight on these two parts.
The common mistake is that I have done many times in my life, I continue to do, but the levels have come down. Is to live in your own world.
Okay.
Right? I told you I used to go out of my world. I used to do different things, go find out outside my world also. But having said that, there were situations where I just remained in my world. And when you remain in your world, you're not able to see what is happening around you. Correct. These are the 10 reasons why I am right. Manmohan is wrong or whatever. Right? You're not listening to people who are telling you you're wrong. They're trying to tell you, but you're not listening. Your boss is trying to tell you that this is, and take feedback very seriously. That mistake I made in marriage, mere boss ko kuch nahi aata. God knows how she became the boss. All of us say that, in life, all.
True.
Everybody has said that.
You're right.
It's a human weakness. But is that of any use?
No.
If you are a manager and you say, my boss doesn't know anything, your assistant will also be saying the same thing. Hey, my boss doesn't know anything. Right? So take feedback very seriously. There are times when I have not taken it very seriously and I've regretted it. Towards the end of my life, my career, I used to be very, very serious about whatever my boss told me. If they told me these are the areas of weakness, these are the areas of improvement, for the next 1 year, I will make sure I do whatever I can to overcome that. Yeah, so boss can be wrong sometimes. I agree. But if boss gives you 3 areas of feedback, say 1, she is wrong. You take. Who you work on? Because the difference between you and you're a CA with 3 years experience, there is another CA sitting next to you with 3 years experience. The difference between you is not much. But if you keep overcoming your weaknesses, you will go ahead of the others. So feedback constructively. I've made a mistake. I've not taken it seriously many times. Sometimes I've taken. It's not that I've not done it all. Sometimes you'll also take it. It's not that you're waiting for me to tell you. But don't brush aside those things. Usne bola, if that person says your presentations are not good at all, don't come out and say, "Arey, kya presentation theek nahi hai? Wo Sai Sudhir doesn't even know how to do this presentation. I am better than him," or whatever. My boss is saying like this. Just take it for face value and say, how can I may be better than Sai Sudhir, but my boss wants me to become better than that. That is the point. My boss is not comparing me with the person sitting next to me. My boss is looking at me and saying, what am I not getting from this person? Remember that. Right?
Got it.
Yeah. I just want to show you this. This is the book I've written, The CFO Lens. And here, I don't know whether you're able to read it. It says, how to thrive in the fast changing world of finance. And I wrote it because you asked me why I wrote it. Just give me 1 minute. Why did I write it? Okay, first of all, because I had time, I had left employment and I decided to take a break of service. So I had time. Kya kare time mein? So I said, okay, let me write a book, because in most professions, for sales, how to excel in sales, there are books. How to do marketing better, thousands of books. How to be a better CEO, 1 lakh books. How to be a better HR person. There are very few such books in finance. There are these books to become in specific areas, right? How to do accounting better. There are books in accounting. There are books in tax. And there are books in cash management. But overall, for you today, business finance and planning and all that has become very important for the company. So how do you do that better? Or even in your own job as accounting, how do you analyze it better? It is not just about business finance. In your job, how do you analyze it better? Right? So people are saying, give me insights, because in business has become very difficult. Whatever level you're in, your boss or somebody is expecting, give me this insight, give me that insight. Tell me something I don't know. What is insight? Right? You will, at the end of this meeting, you will determine whether I was insightful or no. That happens to everybody in every meeting. Did that person give me something useful or no? So I've written about how to derive those insights. Right? And if you read articles on internet, there will be hundreds of articles on insights. But there are very few of them that actually tell you based on practical hands-on experience, my experience of my team, how to derive it. Or how are other companies doing it. So my book is completely practical. There is very little theory. Theory you all learned in CA, right? But I wanted it to be available to the younger people, saying, how is work actually done? How are decisions actually made? How is the problem solved? You know, I've given lots of examples, right? So if you see this part of my book, it says here, 60 plus anecdotes and best practices in the book. And I have not just written this based on my experience. If you read this one in black, it says based on discussions with 8 CFOs of highly reputed companies. So I said, just my experience will not be good enough to write a book. I can make a call for 1 hour. You're all young people, you know, just give me 1 second. Huh?
Meanwhile, if you have any questions out or queries out, you can definitely put it over a chat box. Right. I think that is something which is going to be helping you out. And I've also shared the link of the book in the chat box. Definitely you can go through it. Right. I'm personally also reading this book, right? And to be very honest, right, I've also decided to gift it to some of my favorite students or to my mentors out or some CFOs of a company. Right. So that is something which I've also decided, because it's very important to understand where we want to reach. And to reach out there, you need to read out something, and which will give you a practical insight. So you cannot afford to make all the mistakes out. You need to learn from others' mistake. So that is something which this book is again going to be teaching you. Yes, sir. Please, please.
So I then said my experience alone is not enough. At the same time, I'm from one company, one industry. Both the big companies that I work for the IT industry. So how will I write? When somebody gave me the idea, मैं बोला क्या यार, मैं क्या लिखूंगा? And then I said, there are so many CFOs in this country, in so many companies. I know many of them. So why don't I interview them on what they have done in their careers, this is not journey of a person. A Titan ka CFO, this is how he started in his life, this is how he came. No, not that. It says various situations that you are in the office, which is what you and I are going to be. How did you handle that situation? How did you do risk management? How did you derive insights? Right? How are CFOs deriving insights? How? Not what. What to do is, we all know, insights derive karna hai, risk manage karna hai, balance sheet ko manage karna hai, cost manage karna hai. But I've written about how do you do it, and what is the view of companies? What positions companies take doing cost management, during cap. For example, tomorrow, you will be in a position, you will be in a situation to, somebody will come you and give you, you're in finance, so somebody will come and give you, a business person will give you saying, I want to spend, 60 lakhs in this project, right? And please take this capital expenditure is there, I want to incur it. Please provide your approval. So how do you evaluate that? Right? What questions do you ask? And this is not, the way I've listed questions is not just for a fresher, but even for a little more experienced person, because ultimately the questions are the same, roughly, mota moti, right? So I have tried, and I then spoke to some very senior CFOs in the country: Titan, Ola, Swiggy, Star TV, Ashok Leyland, TVS Motors. These are all companies that are, each one is from a different industry. So for example, it also helped me write a separate section on how to manage finance in e-commerce companies. Unka to, life hi alag hai. They don't have to worry about profit. They don't have to worry about receivables, because it's all B2C. You pay before you buy. But that is what you studied in CA, profit management, that management. That is what I did in my initial years. So I spoke to the CFO of Ola, Swiggy, and tell me everybody was talking about unit economics, right? You're familiar with that term. So what is unit economics? Unit economics is the economics of one transaction. That is, if Swiggy delivers one order to Gaurav, what is the economics? What is the revenue and the cost of that transaction? If airline is giving me, I'm booking a seat, what is the revenue and the cost of that seat? And where are you making money? Where are you not making money? Which city you are making money? Which type of seat you are making money? Are you making as much as you think you are making? Because many times we think, ban raha hai, wo to theek hai. But it's not like that. So that has become one of the biggest things now, unit economics. Everybody is talking about unit. And tomorrow you will go and work in startups, in e-commerce companies. That section is devoted to how to manage finance in startups and e-commerce companies. Particularly and I've written by the way, in the whole book, one thing I can tell you is I have not written very high level. Yes, for some of the things, maybe you will not be able to relate to it immediately. I'm not saying you will be able to relate to everything, but you're intelligent enough to understand it. And I've not written about a board meeting में ये decision लिया था, and that kind of stuff. I did this merger and acquisition. These were the problems, and I've not written anything like that, because I know that very few people actually do that. You and I, on a daily basis, what are we doing? So I've written, my first chapter is on storytelling and communication, which has become the most important area. And if every one of you must spend time on learning that. What is storytelling, right? So whenever you talk, you make a presentation in a meeting. or you're arguing about this government. You like the government. Your brother or wife, they don't like the government. You're arguing with them. What are you trying to do? You're trying to influence them. I like the government for the following reasons. And trying to get that other person to think differently. You're trying to influence that. When you're making a presentation to somebody, you're trying to influence that person's understanding of the business. And there are psychological studies that say that if you want to influence the other person, tell stories. Don't tell just facts. Psychological studies, these scientific studies. This is not any theory of mine or anybody else. Hundreds of them. Right? It is like, so let me ask you a question. Okay. So let me pick Bhaskar. Okay. Have you gifted a watch to anybody?
Not
Yes.
yet.
Okay. Will you do it someday?
Yeah, thinking of the same.
Yeah. So when you gift a watch, how will you gift it? Will you take the watch and put it on that let us say you're giving it to your sister. You'll take the watch like this and put it in your sister's hand?
No, just like surprise gifts and all.
Surprise is one thing, but you'll also wrap it. You'll put it in a nice box.
Correct.
You'll put a wrapper around it. You'll write some nice message on it.
Yes.
The product is the same. The value is for the gift, for the item. But the experience is different.
Presentation.
Presentation. If you take that watch and just put it in the hand, you just think about it. Will you ever do it? No, you will never do it. Same as with data. Don't just take the data and throw it on somebody. Say, how do I say it? How? We all worry about what do I say? Arey, meeting hai, kal presentation hai, chart banana hai, kya bolu. Kaise bolu is as important as kya bolu. Right? Because it happens in your own house, right? Sometimes your father comes and tells you something, and you will say, I'm not going to do it. The same thing, your mother will come in a different way and say, beta, kar do yaar, bijani do na yaar. And you'll say, chalo, kar dete. It is the same thing. It happens in our life every day. Right? So it is about how. And of course, it is about who is saying. That also makes a difference. But it is also how you say. If the mother says it exactly like the way the father said it, it will not influence you so much. Or the other way around. Sometimes it's the father who says it in a way that you will like it. Your brother, your father will say, but your sister tells you, so you'll do it. Right? So it is about how. Worry about how you are saying things. That you have to build. It will take years. Not by reading one article, you're not going to get there. By listening to me, you're not going to get there. So how do you tell stories? I've got a storyteller. I have not written. I've got a storyteller to tell, professional storyteller, to tell me what are the elements of storytelling. How do you tell a story? Right? Story bolne ka bhi tarika hota hai na. People, you say, oh, that film was very good because that story was told to you in an interesting way. Some other director would have told it to you in a different way. Story was the same. Right? So I focus on how to tell that story. So mine, I would say, you'll be able to relate to a lot of it. And to be honest with you, I know I'm trying to sell the book, but first of all, I forgot to tell this. It is only 200 pages. It is not a fat book, 300-400 pages of experience of people. I've deliberately kept it very small so that people can finish reading it fast. Right? And if you can, you're going to spend 500 rupees on it. Right? If you can get something out of it, you'll get something out of it. It's like buying a pizza. It's like cost is the same as buying a pizza, but you'll get something out of it. Something out of it. Something. 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, like I gave you today. There will be some other CFO in that book. I've quoted all of them. In this situation, kya problem? What view you took? That view you can take, I can take. Problem can be different. His level problem will be bigger, your level problem will be smaller, but that view you can take. Perspective you can take. Right? So I've shared a lot of perspectives of people, how they think and how they do something. So that's what the book is about. I'll just show it to you again. The CFO Lens, it's on Amazon and Flipkart. Go type the CFO Lens or CFO Lens Ravi Kumar, and you can find the book. If you're interested, you can buy it. It's full of stories, by the way, anecdotes and best practices. I've got some 60 of them in a 200-page book. So you'll be able to at least definitely relate and understand the story. Kya hua, kaise kiya? How did they mess up something? How did I mess up something? In the very first chapter, I write how I messed up something, and then how I came back after that. So that's what the book is about.
Great. Sir, just last two important questions which are there. Sir, you have worked in one of the company, IBM, for almost 14 plus years. How do we decide that we should work in this company for a longer duration, or should we take a switch to a different company? Right. That is question number one. And question number two is, when should someone decide that I should also go for some other courses other than CAs, or should I look for other foreign courses which are there?
That course part, I will not be able to answer. I'm not on the ground. I don't know. So I don't want to just give you a smart answer. Okay.
Got it.
You please evaluate that. What more is needed, you will know from your situation, what your company demands, what your boss is telling you, what your peers are doing, what are they not doing. You'll also tend to do that, right? But the first question, the answer is very different. First of all, I spent 19 years in the company, not 14.
Yeah.
Generations are different. In my generation, you can spend that much time in a company. Economy was moving much more slowly. Change would happen much more slowly. Promotion would happen much more slowly. Everything. Now it's, so if you think it's the right thing to change a company, change a company. I don't have an answer to that, because I cannot tell you based on my thing saying, no, the longer you are, the better. Hoga. Maybe that is also true, because companies do reward loyalty. But, I cannot expect anybody, including my own children, to stay in a company for 10 years, 15 years. Right? The zamana has changed. So you have to evaluate that based on ground realities. There is no single formula for success. Okay. My brother-in-law is also a CFO. Shivam, you would have heard me.
Yeah.
He's changed 9 jobs. I've changed 2.
Okay.
So he's also CFO, I'm also CFO. He's also CFO of big company, I was also CFO of big company.
Right.
So what is the route to success? He kept on changing jobs. Actually, more than 9, I think. 11 or something like that. I say badal lega.
Got it.
So, it is your personality, it's your circumstance, it is what the market demands of you. There are many things that go into it. I know there's no single answer, but I've said this in earlier calls also. I'm saying this again. Don't jump jobs only because either to ek saal, my boss is telling me, wait 1 more year for a promotion. If I go to that company, I'll get it tomorrow itself. So let me go. That should not be the only motivating reason. If you're not happy with your job now, if you don't like the salary, those are all, many things come into play. But I've seen lots of people make this mistake saying, mere ko nahi kaam karna hai finance. I want to move to some other division. I want to go to operations. Nahi karna, finance mein promotion nahi de raha. It happened in my division. My people have left me. And they got a promotion. They became the 4 din ke liye, they were all, doing this. 5 saal ke baad, they were behind the people in my division. The people who are more patient in my division and who did a less emotional evaluation, they went ahead. Again, is that always a matter of failure? No. I'm just giving you the alternate scenarios. No one thing that I'm saying today is like, about career and all that is like, this is, aise hi karna. But be careful that my boss doesn't like me here. By the way, most of us feel our boss don't like us. We like only the other person. And I don't know how many people are there from the previous call. I've said this, it happens. It's a human thing. It has nothing to do with the boss. How many times have you told your mother or your father, you like only my brother, you like only my sister, you like her more than me? Have you done that? Or have you thought about that? Oh, my father is biased towards my brother. Have you done that? Have you thought like that? Does that thought come to you? With your own father and mother, you're like that. It is not possible that parents will differentiate between children. That day, they may give one child more than the other child because of the situation. But you'll catch on to that and say, hey, my father looked that day. Right? So there's unhappiness with the boss unless they're treating you badly, they're deliberately stopping your promotion or your progress. Those situations are there. You have to evaluate that. But my boss is not a good boss. You will go to the next company. Are you sure the boss is going to be a good boss? 10 din ke liye he'll be a good boss. Right?
Got it. Sir, if you have 2 more minutes, we can take 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. Okay, 1 or 2 more questions. Tell me.
Yeah, I think Aditya, if you want to unmute or if you could raise your hand, Aditya is one of our senior mentor out, so he just wanted to have some question. Aditya, if you're there, he has asked that questions about perspective. If he's there, if you could just unmute or others, if you have any question out, I'll be happy to take that as well. Not a problem. Yes, Aditya, you can just unmute. So sorry, you can just now unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Aditya, your voice is not audible. Aditya, voice is not audible. नहीं आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
Okay, why did you tell me the question?
नहीं, he has not posted the question in chat box. He just wanted to ask.
Shivam. Oh, he's not posted. Okay. Then ask somebody who's posted a question. No?
Yeah, anyone, if you have posted it out or if you could unmute. Someone is asking, I'm working since 2 years in management.
Yeah, I saw. Sai Sudhir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working since 2 years. Management would not care much about accounts, only focus on cash flow and business finance. After heavy work of preparing financial, which is hectic and specialized job, not getting any attention. How do you deal with this? This is a common problem for many people, thinking that they are not getting the attention. Again, no single answer. But there are things that you can do to draw people's attention on you. So what do you do in your personal life? If you are in a room with 10 people and nobody is giving you attention, everybody is talking to Anugrah or Lucky or somebody, nobody is talking to Suraj, what will you do? You will do things that grab attention. Right? Complain karke fayda nahi. There is a reason why. By the way, first of all of us, we feel we don't get attention. I gave you the example of father, mother. All of us feel like that. It's a universal feeling every day of every person that we are not getting our due share. It's a human thing. So if you think people in business finance are thinking that they are getting a lot of attention and they are happy, they will have some other problem. They will think in business finance, that person is getting more attention, I am not getting more attention. He doesn't care that in accounting, you are getting less attention. That is not relevant to him. So your situation is never unique. Remember that one thing. कि मेरा ही ऐसा चल रहा है, मेरे साथ ही ऐसे हो रहा है. You know how human beings, how silly we are. Every time we go to the bus stop, we say, मेरा ही बस नहीं आ रहा है हमेशा. ऐसा होता है क्या? जिंदगी भर for 10-15 years you are saying, hey, मेरा बस नहीं आ रहा. And if there are 100 people in the call, all 100 are telling themselves the same thing. यार बाकी सबका बस आ रहा है, मेरा ही नंबर नहीं लग रहा है यार. There is a lot of psychology in that. I'm not dismissing what you are asking, Sai Sudhir. I'm not. Okay, I'm asking you to do things that will grab attention. That was my first advice. Right? How can you do your work differently that it will get the attention of people? That is what you should worry about. Because that same problem can come to you if you switch jobs. 6 months, you'll be fine. 6 months later, you'll go from here to business finance. There you will say, yaar, business finance mein ye division ko attention milta hai. In IBM, there were hardware, software, consulting, and outsourcing. Hardware, software guys will always complain. Business finance, okay? We never get attention. All you guys want to give attention only to consulting and services. So there be a problem. Right? And that is you have to, that is what I'm saying. Spend time on your mind. Spend time thinking of the alternate perspective. Don't get lost in your world saying, "Arey, mera hi bus nahi aa raha hai." Bus. The other favorite example of mine is about how the human mind behaves is if something nice is going to happen to you on Monday morning, you are waiting for Sunday to get over. अरे क्यों नहीं जा रहा है टाइम आज बहुत स्लो जा रहा है यार टाइम कभी स्लो फास्ट जाता है क्या at the same time if you don't like your job you think this Sunday went off so quickly again Monday has come right these are all real things that happen to you and me every day all of us but be aware of that it will bother you. But after some time, tell yourself that, boy, that is stupid. Probability theory means that yours is not the only bus that is not coming for the last 10 years. Right?
Got it. Sir, yeah, just last question. Aditya asked that, my question was that we all have a different perspectives to different situations and a lot of it depends on upbringing and situations. We are experienced practically. So is there any way to adopt or develop a perspective from other people out?
This is a very heavy question. You build perspectives by watching others. I read a lot on different subjects, right? Reading gives me perspective. It doesn't give me anything else. So I read on religion, I read on philosophy, I'll read on fiction, I'll read this, I'll read that. So you can go through that by reading, you can get that by traveling. Traveling gives you perspective in life, right? So you have to do things that generally build your perspective. Today, I can't change my perspective to suit today's situation. It can, it's possible. But that means tomorrow some other situation will come. So you have to be conscious and build those perspectives in your life. You have to do different things, different roles. Ye ek hi role hai. This is the best role. It doesn't happen that way. Why am I not working in this company? Look at my friend, she went there. They are saying, okay, you go join that company. Somebody from finance in my company once went to the CFO and said, यार आप sales लोगों को इतना importance देते हो, finance को इतना importance नहीं देते हो. Just like somebody asked about accounting, right? It happens, really it happens. Sales is the most important division in a company. My salary is lower than that person's salary. वो ये CFO सब सुना, बोला ठीक है, कल से sales में काम कर ले, सब मिल जाएगा तेरे को. बस, easy. Right? It's not that easy. It's not that simple. They take more risks. Their life is more difficult. Their life is more stressful. Order mila, nahi mila. Right? So, you have to be conscious, keep an open mind and build those perspectives. And you can learn from everybody. One of the things I say is never have one role model in life. My role model is Dhoni. Right? Yeah, it is good. But that is bigger picture. Life mein banna hai to Dhoni banna. But wo nahi banoge. That's why there is only one guy. Right? But who are your role models in the situation that you are in? Look for role models in the situation that you are in. How is that person handling this? The same question that you asked, saying, how do I get that person's perspective? The fact that you're realizing that that person has a different perspective itself is a good thing. Rather than saying that is stupid, that is useless, my perspective is better. Having an open mind is the only answer for that. and have situational role models. Have overall role models. I like, Deepika Padukone or whatever. I like Sania Mirza or that politician. But to me, role models in my life are changed by age, changed by situation. For this situation, that person is my role model. For that age, another person was my role model. When you're younger, father is always your role model. If you're a boy, if you're a girl, your mother is your role model, generally. Right? But it keeps changing. Once you're 25, 30, 35, your father is no longer your role model. You're looking at your CEO to be the role model. Right? Okay. Now be good boys and girls and go buy my book.
Yes. So I think great. I think, sir, you have covered everything in very nice manner and by giving a lot of examples. And I think it was a great, insightful session for all of us. So I would request all of us to please turn on your videos. We'll have a good group photo as well, right? We'll have a good group photo. And again, it's time to thank our mentor for joining in and giving us a great insight about what all things we need to do, what all common mistakes he has done in his journey, what all things we need to avoid, right? So I will request all of you to first of all turn on your videos and give him a round of applause, right, for this wonderful session. You can just unmute yourself and give a round of applause, please.
Thank you, sir.
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 This is one point that I want to leave with. One comment. When Shivam was saying common mistakes. This mistake all of us do. I have done 50 times in my life. Is if you have peers, compare your strengths with their weaknesses and say, I am better. The presentation karna aata bhi nahi hai. Look at my presentation. They are so good. You're comparing maybe that's true. That person is not good at presentation, but you're comparing your strength with that person's weakness. Your boss is not doing that. Your boss is comparing your strength with her strength and your weakness with her weakness. We all do this in life. We'll go tell our father, see that day when you wanted this, my brother did not react properly at all. He did not help you. I only came and did it. But that's again very situational. And we'll all say, I'm so good. देखो मेरे को इतना सब कर रहा हूँ, promotion ही नहीं मिल रहा है. It leads to that. It leads you to your thinking will go in that direction. Increment itna, थोड़ा ज़्यादा मिलना था. So anyway, these are all, I think, real practical problems. Just be conscious of it. That's my advice to you. Okay?
Yes. Thanks, sir. Thanks once again. Right. And
Thank you, sir.
really happy to have you, sir, for this session out. The people, those who have connected here can connect with sir on a LinkedIn. I've tried to share the LinkedIn link. And definitely, if you want to read his book, right, you can just go to Amazon or Flipkart. You'll be able to find out the CFO lens, right, which is there. I also tried to share the link in the chat box so that.
Is it book available on Kuku FM?
Excellent. Yeah. Now, I think it's not there on Kuku FM, right? As of now. Sir, you're on mute. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah. No, we're not on what?
Kuku FM. It's an audio podcast.
No, it's not there on audio, but it's there. If you people like reading on Kindle, it's there on Kindle. So there is a physical version and there is a Kindle version. And right now, because of Amazon, it can be purchased literally anywhere in the world. So, and they give it to you delivery. I think Amazon gives it to you very quickly. 3-4 days, you'll get the book. So again, wherever you think this is not at my level, I'm not experienced enough for this. Understand the concept. Understand the concept that I'm trying to say. Right? And many times I've said that, I've been explicit in explaining, but for you, it is understanding the concept, because 2 years from now, you'll be in some situation. Our human memories are amazing. They can go retrieve it in 1 second, in 2 years, and say, okay, now I know what to do with this. So all of us, I'm not talking about you, my book, I'm saying in general. Right? Okay? Chalo. Bye.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think, yes, thanks, sir. Bye-bye. Nice to have you.